Welcome into week 17 of Band of Bettors, a betting show for sports fans looking to be more data driven. Christmas and the holidays have passed. We're now looking forward to New Year's weekend, New Year's Day in 2023. I'm Brad Kronthal here with Spencer Kronthal. We are of Alloy Sports. Spence, how you doing? Did you enjoy your holidays with me?
You bet. I'm feeling stuffed. I'm ready for those New Year's resolutions to kick in because I've got to get back in the gym after this holiday weekend.
Yeah, I'm going to the gym right after this. Our family cooks a lot of food, and we eat a lot of food. So definitely need to hit the gym before New Year's to get back into shape. But speaking of betting shape, how'd you do this past weekend? Feeling good?
I'm feeling all right. I'll take it. Really cut it right down the middle. I bet on 7 games. I had one push and went 3-3 on the rest of them. Had a couple close calls, which we'll get into in a little bit. But overall, 3-3. Live to see another week.
Yeah, awesome. I think I did as well. There's some props I threw down there that hit well in some games that I liked as in addition to the game bets. So a really fun weekend, and we're getting into that playoff stretch, the final 2 weeks of the season. A few spots still to be locked up, so an intriguing couple of weeks here to look forward to. But going back to week 16, is there any moment that stuck out to you as your favorite or most telling moment of the week?
Yeah, I can't say it's my favorite moment of the week. In fact, it might be my least favorite moment of the week, but it's the one that stands out to me. That's Tua over in Miami. I'm talking the Dolphins Packers game. I had the Packers to cover the spread, but I didn't want it under these conditions. You look back, obviously Tua played the whole game. Now he's in concussion protocol. When you take a closer look at the tape, there looks to be a play earlier in the game, about midway through, where Tua's head actually gets slammed back to the ground. Obviously, we saw this happen earlier in the season, but he stayed in the game. What's the most telling stat is it's basically two complete opposite sides of the coin. Before that play happened, we'll call it pre-concussion, he was 9 for 12, had 230 passing yards and a touchdown. After that play, 7 for 13, no TDs, 3 interceptions, only averaging just over 6 yards per attempt. Another massive concern for Tua at this point. Two potentially huge concussions in the same season. Really lack of care on the on the part of the team doctors and really the NFL. So I'm really intrigued to see what's going to happen going forward with Tua, one of the real bright spots of the NFL this season, also demonstrating one of the larger low spots in the NFL this season as well.
Yeah, I agree with you. And Tua had some major issues earlier in the year, and you wonder how long this is going to be put up with from his side. I mean, you don't want to have to suffer with long-term effects from concussions, and it's already been a few for Tua this year that have been pretty nasty to look at. So hopefully all is good on him, and we'll see how this shakes out for the rest of the year. I think my most interesting moment or moments of week 16 came with the sharp betting on the primetime games. So starting on Thursday Night Football, it was the Jags at the Jets. A lot of the sharp money went on the Jets, with the public going towards Jacksonville, and Jacksonville won that one easily. Obviously, a team playing for the playoffs under Trevor Lawrence versus Zach Wilson led Jets. The Sharps liked the home Jets, and that didn't work out. And then closing out the week on Monday Night Football, a lot of Sharps liking the Colts. Nick Foles came in, and the hope was that he could just hold down the fort and manage the game, and he did anything but that. He was putrid. He couldn't really throw the ball to anybody within reason. He just was terrible, and the Colts struggled mightily against the Chargers, who won and covered very easily. So, not always the best move to go with the Sharps, especially when I think the bottom line here is you don't bet on bad teams, but most importantly, don't bet on bad quarterbacks. Zach Wilson's been terrible. You can see his confidence has been completely shot. News reports coming after the week that Wilson and the Jets are likely to part ways following the season, just a couple years into his tenure in New York. It's just not working, and he's been terrible. Foles, more of a shot in the dark. You didn't know what you'd get with him. There was no sample size on him this year, thinking he might be better than Matt Ryan or Sam Ellinger, and he was actually worse. So, interesting plays there, but the Sharps going 0-2 on the Thursday and Monday night games was something that I looked at as interesting for week 16. So moving on, Or before we move on, I want to go back and see our slips from last week, and we can kind of walk through how we did. And Spencer will lead with you.
Sure. So I got in on that Jacksonville game. The spread was hovering around, just about even. So I took the money line, got him in at minus 105. Took the nice win with Jacksonville taking the win. What was interesting this week is almost all of my other games actually came down to what lines I was able to get. With Atlanta, I had them at plus 7.5. Obviously, they lost by 8. The Giants went the other way, got them at plus 3.5. They won by, or they lost by 3, got the cover. Seattle was the only one that was out of range. I had them at plus 9, thought they could cover against KC. Obviously, this is the Patrick Mahomes show. He is turning on the lights once again en route to at least a top 2 MVP finish, as we discussed with Jalen Hurts right there in the mix. Next, I had Philly at plus 5.5. I was riding with Micah Parsons, saying this team is not just relying on Jalen Hurts. They, of course, lost by 6 in that close. Awesome game, awesome finish. Vegas got plus 3, got the split, or got the push, and finally Green Bay. I got a nice plus 4.5 line. They won by 6. Obviously, a lot of different things could have contributed to that as well. But overall, 3-3 really cut it right down the middle, I'd say, with how close a lot of these games ended up. Really, if you were able to get good lines on a lot, you could have had a much more successful week than I did betting the same exact plays. Also, could have went the other way for you as well.
Absolutely. So I'm going to pull up my bets from this week, and it's not as telling as it really was. So early on, I like Jacksonville. I got in on the spread and the money line here, and they covered both. I just really like Jacksonville playing really well, running the ball, throwing the ball, and playing a Jets team in pretty bad weather with a bad quarterback, as mentioned earlier. So that was a nice, sweatless game for me. The Giants in Minnesota. Minnesota plays every game close. However, this week they won via 61-yard field goal. I mean, it's all clicking for them right now at the end of games, especially at home. They're killing it. But the Giants do hold on to cover, got them at 4.5. Detroit's a game I felt really good about. Minus 2.5, going to Carolina. Carolina with a strong win the week before. I thought Detroit would, handle them a little more easier than the spread suggested. I did think they would be able to cover there, and they just got rampaged by the Carolina run game. And then the last game. So this was interesting. I actually placed this bet early in the week, and I pulled it right before kickoff, and I got reimbursed the money I put in, $20 I put in for the Vegas game, just because I had a lot of systems come down to say that they like Pittsburgh. So I made some live bets in this game on props, and I hit two Freiermuths over receiving yards, live betting, and Darren Waller as well. But this loss actually was not, because I pulled it. And there was also a teaser, a three-team teaser I got in on, and I won that as well. So a little better than these numbers suggest, but still happy with the results overall and looking forward to the week to come. But, it's pretty crazy that, the few games, few divisions coming right down to the wire here. The Ravens Steelers flex, the AFC North coming down to the wire, the AFC South coming down to the wire, and then in the NFC South as well. So, a lot to look forward to over the next 2 weeks to see the playoff placement and whether a few teams get in or not.
Absolutely. You look at the NFC South, AFC North. Again, the Ravens Steelers getting flexed this week, but the real game in the AFC North probably coming next week with Baltimore playing Cincinnati. If they keep the records within one game, that's going to come down to the division title. But really exciting end of the season. The records might not indicate in the NFC South, but that is an absolute race as Brady makes that last, who knows if it'll be his last playoff push. He could probably keep going for a couple more years given the right situation.
Absolutely. All right. Week 17. Let's get right into it, Spencer. Any strategies you're looking forward to? I'll give you guys one quick hint here. We built a yeah boy strategy. We called it just because the celebration that one of our guys on the team made when he created it was like, yeah boy, when it hit. So that strategy liked underdogs, like a lot have liked this season. And it hit all three Christmas Day games. It was the Rams, the Packers, and what's the last one?
And the Bucks.
Rams, Packers, and then the Bucks came back. So the Cardinals were the underdogs at 7.5. Yeah, totally blank there. Sorry about that. Rams, Packers, Cardinals. All three hit via the Yeah Boy strategy. It's hitting at 60% since 2020. Getting right into that, if you like that strategy, come on the website and check it out or the app. And this week it's liking some close underdogs. Cleveland at Washington, Miami at New England, Chicago at Detroit, and Seattle at home hosting the Jets. So if you like the Yeah Boy strategy, if you used it last week or on Christmas Day, you were gifted success. Those are the games it's looking for this week. Spencer, I'll throw it to you. Some of the strategies you're looking at.
Yeah, I'm liking the road grader. It's done great this year. Going to look to keep it up as we get towards the end of the year.
I think it went
Like
2-1 last week as well.
I like Chicago at Detroit. Ooh, Denver at KC. Really don't want to bet that, but over at a almost two touchdown spread, I'll take the chance. Rolling with the data. Carolina at Tampa. I think that one's gonna be really close. Right now, it's at around +3. We'll see if there's any line movement on that. Indy at the Giants. Could there be a bounce back game? Cleveland at Washington. That one's actually pretty intriguing. And Minnesota, currently the underdog by about a field goal at Green Bay. Definitely one I'm gonna keep my eyes on as I'm looking to play the road grader strategy this week.
Yeah, awesome. And I think one thing we've seen is that the books for the last couple years with Mahomes really overvalue the Chiefs when it comes to those spread numbers. This year, they're 31st in the NFL in covering the spread. They're 4-10-1 ATS. The only team worse than them is Tampa Bay this year at 3-11-1. So don't be too afraid to bet an opponent of the Chiefs just because that number is big and they might not have the firepower that you think they may have. Obviously, Denver coming with a new coach. Jerry Rosberg filling in for the fired Nathaniel Hackett. That was some news this week. But Kansas City, they're not doing it when it comes to covering those large spreads this season. So we'll see how that plays out. Maybe you want to give yourself another point or two, throw them in a teaser. That's what I did last week. We'll see. So for me, I like the road grader strategy as well. A couple of the ones we built recently have been hitting too. So we built last week the balanced O strategy. That was our alloy forecast. It has Denver in there. It has Baltimore at -3.5 hosting Pittsburgh. I think that line's gone down a little bit to -3. Again, that'll be dependent upon Lamar Jackson if he's playing. One game I'm really questioning though is that Jacksonville Houston game. Jacksonville's 4 or 4.5 point favorites, no matter where you look. They cannot figure out the Texans. It's been years. They just can't do it. I'm leaning the balanced O strategy likes Jacksonville -4.5 to get the monkey off their back in that rivalry. But there's some other ones that I've seen that like Houston, and it's just going to be telling as to whether they can break this trend of losses and struggles against the Texans. This game is in Houston, so it's going to be prime weather, whether it's domed or not. But a few strategies like Jacksonville and liking them to buck the trend. So I think those are a couple games I'm looking at to start. One other game that's intriguing is LA versus LA. The Rams are 6.5 point underdogs against the Chargers. The Chargers obviously just clinched. Do they have a bit of a letdown week against LA that the Rams that put up 51 points under Baker Mayfield? Something to look at. And then a really intriguing game, which is basically even right now, is Buffalo Bills at Cincinnati. Both teams still have something to play for, even though they both clinched the playoffs. The Bills playing for the number one overall seed, and the Bengals are playing for the AFC North Division. So that one's something I'll look at a little bit closer to game time, where that line stands. But for me, I'm liking Cleveland. I'm going to throw some money on the Rams this week, and I'm going to look at Jacksonville to buck the trend. And I might throw Dallas or Denver in a teaser, give them a few more points, maybe 19.5. And throw that money down.
Yeah, I'm excited about Jacksonville. I love the way Trevor Lawrence is playing. That offense is clicking on a lot of cylinders. Obviously, they're putting up 19 this week, but they still won by 16. It's a team that I'm interested to see if Doug Peterson and co. if they can snatch the opportunity where I can't even remember the last time they won the division.
Mark Brunell, Jimmy Smith, or David Garrard. It's been a minute. It's been a minute since Jacksonville's been good. There was the 1 year
That
semi
1 year
recently when
blip
they made
with
the AFC
Bortles
Championship game with Jalen Ramsey and the great defense, but
and a
that
questionable call away from the Super Bowl.
yeah, absolutely. So that's week 17 in a nutshell. We hope you get onto Alloy Sports, the app on iOS. It's really awesome. We've been able to win a lot of games this year by using our betting systems, compare them, in-house with systems that we built, systems that you can build. Gives you the data to back up those picks. And like we said, we've been winning all year. You can see it. So good luck on all your bets for the upcoming week, and look forward to recapping that week and looking forward to the final week of the NFL a week from now. Best of luck, and we'll see you then.